All right, welcome back. We are INFR2350 Intermediate Computer Graphics in the Winter 2021 semester at Ontario Tech University, and it's week 3, part 1 of our broadcast. And good morning. And we're going to be talking about CheckPoint 1 a little bit and GDW requirements. And there's a method to my madness here because I was looking at a couple things. I realized that a lot of you haven't signed up for GDW Groups, which is going to really mess things up in terms of marking and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to do that today. And also I wanted to go through the requirements that I'm looking for because I don't think I talked about it, but I wasn't clear in a document. So I've kind of put everything together in a document for everybody and I want to share it with you live. So again, we're sitting here at week 3 and a couple things are happening this week. One thing is assignment 1 is due this week. Assignment 2 has been released, and I'll show you that. Checkpoint 1 is supposed to be today, and we will do a checkpoint. But I want to talk about how to do this properly and what I'm expecting from you guys. And also, I want to discuss GDW requirements. So where we're sitting is really checkpoint 1. Again, things that we need to do. GDW groups still need to be formed. I'm not sure why you guys haven't signed up or whatever, but I want to take time to make sure everyone signed up for a GDW group, especially those non-GDW students. Some of you haven't combined or haven't connected with other people to sign up, and that is a negative, I would say. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, please do that as soon as possible. So again, this Sunday is assignment 1, the basics, and I've released assignment 2, color correction, which is going to be due on Sunday. So I'll go into the details of that in a bit. All right, so first what I want to talk about is some of us are non-GWs are together and signed up on Canvas. Awesome, thank you so much. Some of you aren't. And what I'm going to do is during the little workshop periods, there's going to be 2 parts of today. One part is going to be where I'm showing you some requirements, and the second part is where we're going to do a little workshop to make sure we massage your checkpoint 1 PowerPoint so they're in line with what I'm looking for. And then also I'm going to ask you to do a little video that is going to be due Friday. Okay, and the reason for this is because I don't think you had enough information, and I want you all to be successful. So the group sign up, if you look up on Canvas, is under, for me it's under people. But I can't show you everything, but there's otherwise what's going to happen, you're going to be live on YouTube. I don't want that, but there's also GDW Groups, which you're going to see right here. And again, I don't want to show you the student names here, but here they are. So right now, what you're going to see is there's a bunch of GDW groups that are here, and some of them are empty. So please, if you don't mind, please go up to the GDW Groups and sign up. It's a self-sign up. Right now, the groups are limited to 6 members, and you need to do that ASAP or else I can't accept that. So again, I still have what it shows here on Canvas. I still have about 17 of you who haven't signed up for a GDW group on Canvas. Again, if you don't sign up, you won't get any credit for the work you do for checkpoint 1 or for your GDW requirements. Sunday, if I'm not wrong. Let me just check actually, make sure that that's correct. I think it's Sunday. And if it's not, then we'll make it Sunday. How about that? So, so assignment 1 is due, what it looks to me is January 31st, and that is Sunday. So it's already Sunday. All of them where it says GDW groups are all non-GDW and GDW. You don't just randomly sign up to a group, Noah. Of course, you would have to, or sorry, to Joseph. You would you connect with your other non-GDW students, and then hopefully you can arrange with them. Yes, we're going to do a checkpoint today, Noah. Just wait, and I want to talk about what the requirements are, and that's why I'm going to do this little quick broadcast because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So under modules, what I've got is under week 3, I've got a couple things here. Assignment 2, color correction has been released. GDW requirements are here, so you can look at them. as well as CheckPoint 1 requirements are here. So this is where CheckPoint 1 is going to be submitted. And there's also, in each of these things, there's also the requirements document, the PDF, is embedded in each of these things, so that way you guys are good, you guys know what you're doing. So let me talk about some of these documents really quickly. I'm going to start with the GDW project requirements that I'm going to go over right now. And this would be something that you want to share with Gavin in your aligned assignments tomorrow. Okay, so let's do that first. And I'm just going to bring up the document right now. And just to make sure that we are on the same page, like I said. And I found that when I was looking through your, when I was looking at it, and I was looking at the fact that, again, a lot of you haven't signed up for GDW Groups, I'm like, how are they going to submit their stuff? How are we going to do this? This is actually a submission that's worth marks, right? So it's not just me seeing you and you telling me what you're doing, but actually there's got to be some kind of requirements that are that you have to kind of come up with. So I'm going to show you these now. But first, I want to talk about GDW requirements, because I think one of the things you need is to see the overall project and what it looks like. So it looks like this. So here's you can look at this document, by the way. It's attached to your Canvas. If you go up on Canvas, and if you look at where it says GDW requirements, if you click in there, there is this PDF that is associated with those up there right now. So let's look at that now. So again, you're going to be creating your GDW two things: a report as well as a video for and a presentation for your GDW project. And the essentials of this, just like you did for assignment number 1, is a modern OpenGL rendering pipeline that you're going to be using. No immediate mode, of course, which is required. Okay, so otherwise you get 0. Which, of course, I know all of you are using Otter or something like that. So this is just a checkpoint just to make sure that everyone knows that that's required. There are lighting requirements, again, that are similar to what you've seen in assignment number 1. And notice that every single part for your GDW requirements has a report requirement attached to it. So part 1, and then there's your report. Part 2 is texturing. So you're going to have your objects textured properly for the stuff in your game. So that is required. So then this would be a second requirement. So if you're going to list this on for Gavin and for Gavin's GDW class, you put lighting, texturing, post-processing color correction is required. And we're going to be talking about post-processing color correction in assignment 2. That's what I've given you so far. So this is required. You're also going to have to do bloom. That's kind of a requirement for your game, as well as shadow mapping. And you're also going to have a post-processing effects option. You can choose whether you use cell or tune shading, motion blur, pixelation, film grain, and so on. You can choose one of those things, and it's going to be, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff on assignment number assignment number 3 and 4, because 3 and 4 deal with the G buffer, accumulation buffer, deferred rendering, and all that kind of stuff. And it also talks about using additional post-processing effects that I've listed here. All right, so that is the requirements. Notice that each requirement, each part has a report requirement. So you're running a report by the end of this semester. And then there is a demo video and live demo that you're going to be doing at the end, where your demo video is just going to be you basically voiceovering your slide deck, which is basically saying, hi, my name is so-and-so, and this is my team, and this is the game we've made this semester, and you're going to go through the requirements that I've asked you to. All right, so that is what it's going to be. Your submission requirements, again, is that there's a report, which is worth 10 marks out of 100. Your working GitHub link is required. A working video demo link is required, and a zip archive of your project files with garbage files removed. That is your GDW requirements for the end of semester. All right, and that's even for people who are non-GDW students. Instead of making a GDW game from scratch, I recommend for the non-GDW students is to use your assignment framework and your assignments that you're learning as something that you're going to continue to build upon until the end. So that is going to be your little mini game that you're making, because I can't expect you to make the same level of game in one semester that your classmates have done over 2 semesters. So therefore, whatever I've given you in the assignments, I want you to build things up, and there's going to be things that I want you to add to them. As an example, that kind of make up the GDW mark. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. The only difference between GDW students and non-GDW students is the extra 10% comes from peer reviews, which I will publish later on this semester. And it's going to be around how people think you did and how you work within your team and so on. And that's a little different than the GDW requirements for GDW students, because they're going to get peer reviews from Gavin and from Gavin's TA and so on, as well as peer reviews that you're going to be doing during GDW. So that's there. And then there's a bit of a rubric here that basically, it's not filled in yet, but you can see that there's where the marks are broken down: lighting, texturing, color correction, bloom, shadow mapping, optional post-processing effect, video demo, and final report. So really, from an aligned assignments perspective, you're looking at all of this. Okay, that's your aligned assignments for this course. All right, so there's a few things. I mean, I've broken it down. You could really combine some of this stuff. For example, these 3 things are post-processing effects, so you can combine these things. But you can see that your final, the post-processing effects for your final report and your final GDW requirements are worth 50% of your grade for this item. Okay, so that is GDW requirements. Any questions around your GDW requirements for the end of semester? I just wanted to share this with you so that you guys are in line with what we need you to do. This is number 1. Okay, next, if there's no questions, let's move on to the CheckPoint requirements now. So great, I've given you GDW requirements, and the CheckPoint kind of really leads into the GDW requirements. So let's talk about CheckPoint requirements. So here's CheckPoint requirements. All right. So every time we get together, there's going to be a checkpoint, and typically what we'd normally do is I would take you into a room, kind of or a breakout room, or we do things live, as an example, like we might do today. And then what you would do is you would basically demo show us, your progress on your game, and specifically the CG requirements that I've asked you to put together for your GDW requirements, which I just showed you. Okay, so those things. However, I want to mention a couple things that I've just to note. I recommend, and again, this is something you probably already do in GDW, but I recommend that you break your teams out into specialty roles. And I know some of you have and some of you haven't. Some of you have done it, but it's not formal in your contracts and those kind of things. So I've listed some suggestions here, recommendations only for your specialty roles. And the reason for this, it'll make it a little easier for you when you list your roles, for example, in your PowerPoint slides or your Google slides when you're talking to Gavin tomorrow, and to me when you're, when I meet you for checkpoints. I'm going to say, so you're going to say something like, hey, my name is Tom, and this is my team, the Fantastics. I'm just making this up. And my team, the Fantastics, I have this person, this person, and this person. This person is the lead software engineer. I've got the other person who is a UI and tools programmer. This person here is a gameplay programmer, and so on. And I've listed some examples here. Yep, it's already listed. These are going to be the exact same requirements every single time. I'm not gonna change these. These are the same requirements when we meet, Anita. So it's not going to change. That's why I'm doing it today for the first time, and to make sure that it's going to go a little differently today than other times. Okay, let's put it that way, because it's not fair. I want to be fair for you guys, so that way you know what I'm looking for. So I've listed some examples of things that I've seen in the industry, kind of industry standard, people that I've talked to, let's say at Ubisoft, and other places that I have contacts in as well. And these are kind of listed titles or roles that you may want to, and I'm just pointing may. I'm not going to force you if it doesn't work for your team. But a couple of things that I recommend is try not to combine the lead software engineer with any other role. So the lead software engineer is just a programmer, but maybe the person who's the most comfortable with programming on your team should be the lead software engineer. So I recommend, if you're going to list somebody as such, they're the people that are going to be responsible for version control, so source control using GitHub or Perforce. And Perforce, again, is an industry standard that they use at Ubisoft and other places outside of GitHub, because you have control over file locking. You can lock a file and unlock a file when you're working on it with somebody else. For us, GitHub, of course, is where we're going, and I recommend all of you have some kind of repository that you're going to have for your project. So the lead software engineer would be like almost like the GitHub director, and there should only be one of these lead software engineers. The other people, there can be other software engineers, of course, and all of you are required to program, but you can also break it down. Like, I'm a UI programmer or I'm a gameplay programmer, and I've listed some examples of what these roles might do. All right, generalist programmers is basically someone who just does everything, and most teams are made up of a lot of generalist programmers, as an example. Game producer, again, this is kind of a really key role, and I think there's pretty much 3 key roles, in my opinion, of every team, and the 3 would be lead software engineer, game producer, and game designer. Those are the 3 that I think are distinct from basically generalist programmers or whatever. And generalist, so a game producer is, again, you know what they are, but what they are for me is someone who is going to be responsible for all your submissions on Canvas, right? So give it to that person to do. They're also going to be tracking your project with something like Trello or Jira. I recommend that they do that. So that is kind of their responsibilities. And again, I don't recommend that you combine them with other roles, because if you're both the lead software engineer and the game producer, it can really, it's kind of like your game at the end of the day, right? Everyone's following what you're doing. Technical artist is also really important at Ontario Tech, and so is audio engineer. And I highly recommend, again, that you at least mention this as a role on your role slide. All right, so what are you doing? Who are you? Are you actually creating the aesthetic for your game? You know, this kind of stuff. I've mentioned some very simple stuff here, but only because, as again, just suggestions. Obviously, technical artists are going to have more than just Photoshop and GIMP. They're going to know a lot of things, Blender, 3D Coat, and other tools as well that can be listed here, as many others. Maya, Substance Designer, and so on, right? Audio engineer, the same. They're not just going to use Audacity and Adobe Audition, but they're going to use other tools that are out there to help them to create sounds and music. And then, again, this is another key role, game designer, where they kind of put together the game design document. So again, I know you know all this already. I'm putting it down here because when I talk about my slide deck, this is the requirements now for your CheckPoint. So CheckPoint requirements are like this. I need a slide deck. All right, the slide deck is going to have at least these slides: a title slide, a team slide, a game overview slide. So what is your game about? Your MDA slide. I want a high-level overview of your mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics for your game. Your CG requirement progress, so specifically on those items that I mentioned in your GDW requirements document. And there should be these valid states: so you're not started, in progress, or completed. All right, those are the things I want to see. You could certainly color them, red, yellow, green if you want, but at the end of the day, those are all optional. All I'm looking for is a single slide deck and a slide deck is like PowerPoint or Google Slides with these slides. So I'm looking at like what, 6 or 5 slides here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 slides is what I'm looking for. Okay. And these 5 slides should take that long to go through. You're going to go through your game. You're going to talk to me about what you got, what you've made, and what your progress is on all those things. Now, obviously today, I don't expect it to be a lot of progress on your CheckPoint. Today's, the purpose of today is really to get to know what you're doing, who are you, who's on your team, that kind of stuff, and what your plans are for your CG requirements. So maybe talk about that when you come to these slides. So the reason why I'm presenting this now, I'm giving you a little bit of time, is because I want you all to have this for me today, right, if possible. And I'm not going to do this again. This is the first one and done. Next CheckPoint, you know what's required, and it's not going to be an issue. But this CheckPoint, I want you guys to reform some of the PowerPoint slides that you probably already have in your team. And then I'm hoping to kind of go through each of your teams in a quick way, just to get to know what you're doing today. And then your submission point is going to be on Friday. So I've given you a couple more days just to warm up the stuff that I've asked you to put together. And a small video is what I'm asking you to do for Friday. So take a look. The video requirements is basically, you're just going to voice over your slide deck. I don't need to see all your faces. You're going to have a title slide with all your faces on it already. I'm only expecting one person to present. Okay, I don't need you to have a group presentation where every single person presents. And by the way, that's the case with any of your requirements, right, for your assignments. So if I give you assignment number 2 as an example, and it's a group assignment of up to 3 people, I don't expect every single person to talk to me. All right, I'm okay with only one person presenting for everybody. All right. I know this is sometimes controversial from a professor perspective. They want everyone to talk and participate. But to me, I'm looking for someone who's interested in doing the PowerPoint presentation and describe the code. If it helps to add other people, I think you should share your work with others and make everyone have an active role in doing this kind of stuff. But I don't want to pressure you to say everyone must demonstrate their stuff for their assignments and for your checkpoints. Okay, just one person. Whoever the best presenter is, the person who's the most knowledgeable, perhaps in certain cases, are the people that I want to present. Okay. And the demo requirements, again, I recommend for your demo video and live demo. The live demo is going to happen today. So I'm going to break you down into, I'm going to give you some time, form out your PowerPoint slide. Shouldn't take you that long, right? Sign up to your GDW group so we have all that ready to go. And then you're ready to submit at least some part of your requirements for Friday. Again, Friday is going to be a very quick, video that you're going to be creating, 5 minutes, no more, where you do the exact same thing you've done with me today. And so that way there's a record of your checkpoint, your progress, and all that kind of stuff. The next time we do a checkpoint, again, we're not going to talk about this again. You're going to know what you're going to do, and you're going to submit. Submission requirements. You need to have a slide deck that you submitted, whether it's a link to your slide deck or the actual PowerPoint slides themselves. You need to submit those. You can even submit them in PDF format if it makes you feel more comfortable. All right. Yes. The video, though, your video is going to be due, and everything, the entire thing is going to be due by Friday. So if you notice online, this isn't due today. I'm going to meet with you today, and you're going to talk to me about your checkpoint, but everything is due Friday officially. To give you a couple of days to form out. You're also going to modify some stuff between tonight and Friday for your GDW review tomorrow, right? So then by Friday, I should have, kind of a very quick video. Guys, 5 minutes is all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a big, and I don't need any post-processing for your video. Your video requirements are like, it could be raw. Hey, hi, my name is Tom, and here's my team, and that's it, kind of thing. Just voice over your slides is what I'm looking for. Now, there's going to be some times where you're going to also have an opportunity to demo your functionality. So, for example, maybe you can demo your progress at some points, right? So that might be a couple of extra minutes where you bring up your game and say, look, so this is what we got in 2 minutes, kind of stuff. And I don't expect you guys to go into a lot of detail here. So again, this is kind of a shortened version, perhaps, of what you would do for Gavin. All right, so nothing that's too elaborate or anything else. I don't need to look at all of your artwork or any of that stuff, but everybody's role is important. That's why I kind of listed everybody's role there. So one title slide is what I'm really looking for. So if you look at the team slide, I mean, you can include mugshots. If you need to make more slides than one, let's say I've already have a PowerPoint slide deck or Google Slides that you prepared for today. That you have everyone's faces in multiple slides. For today, that's okay. But for the future, I want one slide kind of like, with everybody's little mugshots, let's say, and a little, their name and student ID and their role underneath the mugshots. So that way I know what everyone's doing and what your role is for this class. Okay, not necessarily for GDW, but for us. So how that's really important is for the non-GDW students, right? Because even the non-GDW students, they may not have a producer because, again, they don't really have a game they're gonna produce over the course of 2 semesters, but they may have a lead software engineer, right? So that's why I put it out there for them. Okay. So that is your CheckPoint requirements. Okay. Questions around the CheckPoint requirements or concerns? Again, I presented these to you, and especially these things, suggestions only. Do I expect you guys to form up and do what we did? By the way, we did this stuff when we put together our GDW groups. Back when we were doing it, we kind of looked at all the different roles and we said, okay, so what is everyone doing? And we went very specific and we put all this stuff inside of our contract as well. You may not need to do that, and I don't expect you to follow what I've asked you to do exactly, but I'm giving you recommendations in terms of how you assign specialty roles to your group members. Okay. Again, not wholly related to CG, but the stuff that I'm really looking for is this slide. Really, at the end of the day, this other stuff here is like, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. And, here's an update on our game. And by the way, here's what we've done for you. That's what I want. All right. At the end of the day. Okay. So that's your GDW and requirements and your CheckPoint requirements. So any questions around that? Yes. Bardine, you got it. So you're meeting with me today. I'm going to give you some minutes to just put together, if what I'm talking, you probably can already reform some of those slides. If you already have them, that's great. If you don't, you may only need one slide. You may only need the CG requirements progress slide that I'm asking for. But I want you to put that in there today. When we meet, you're going to present it to me live, and then you're going to submit on your video on Friday. Okay? And everything is due, if you notice, your CheckPoint 1 is due January 29th, which is on Friday. Okay. Okay, so that is your GDW requirements. And I wanted just to do one thing more. Really briefly talk about your assignment 2 criteria, which is also due next week, guys. It's next week on Sunday. So I don't want you to be blindsided and say, well, he never talked about assignment 2, but he talked about GDW and CheckPoint. Assignment 2 is worth 7.5%. It's worth more than assignment 1. It's due on February 7th, right? So that is, like, believe it or not, next week on Sunday. It's worth 7.5%, and it's up to 3 people. So groups of 2 or 3. Again, if you look at Canvas, there is a assignment 2 groups section. Please sign up for assignment 2 in groups of 2 to 3. And my recommendation is those groups of 2 to 3 come from your GDW groups, like I said earlier. So let's suppose you have a GDW size of 6. 3 people go on one group, 3 people go on another group. And when it says the project GDW related base, you can use the same project as a base. So for example, I already have a game and I'm going to add shaders to it and that kind of stuff. Then both teams can do it, but they're going to do it almost like a separate experiments. All right, that's what's going to happen. All right, so team 1 out of the GDW team, let's suppose I had a team called the Fantastics, like I said, I don't know, some weird team name. And I have Fantastics Group A and Fantastics Group B. And Fantastics Group A, they're going to do with the 3 people that they've chosen. And they're going to do the same stuff with the exact same base that you're working on. And why is this good for you and for your game? It's really great because you're going to work on your game separately, and then maybe what you can do is during your GDW pull some of the best things that you've done from your assignment number 1 together for your GDW requirements at the end. That's the idea with this. Andrew asks, can we use our assignment 1 scene for assignment 2? If you're a non-GDW student, yes. If you're a GDW student, you should be using your GDW game. That is the requirement. Okay. Okay, so, and that's why I'm mentioning it here. And for lighting, it's the same features. You're getting 20 points for free for the most part, but you're applying diffuse, ambient, specular, and all those kind of things to your GDW game now. All right, so this is the good thing. So you've already done kind of your lighting model and everything else that you've done with Nick, using that framework, the assignment framework Otter, and you're going to apply the same kind of things to your own game. So this is why it's important that your base now would change away from assignment number 1 if you're a GDW student, and you're going to create your effects based on the game that you have right now, whatever that is. Color grading is the new thing for assignment 2, right? So How asks, I'm not in GDW, but my friend is. Can I join his GDW group and work with them? Yes, you can. Absolutely. If they accept you and there's up to 6, if they've got 5 and you go to 6, you can join them. If they're already 6, the answer is no. Right? So that's the answer for that one. So color grading. Color grading is the big thing for assignment 2, and that's where you're going to spend most of your time. Color grading, right? And what that means is you're going to create a LUT, and which is a lookup table in 3D space. And what you're going to be doing is that 3D lookup table is what you're going to use to grade your scene, and you can make it warmer or cooler, or and add different filters to your effects. And you're going to do this, a process that Nick is going to go over with you, probably over. I'm not sure if it's going to be tomorrow or if it's going to be on next tutorial. I mean, tomorrow is in Friday or the next tutorial. So that is color grading. That's going to be due next week on Sunday. The keys, you're going to use the same debug keys, right? However, what you're going to do is you're going to add some additional toggles for different kinds of ramps, a warp ramp from diffuse and specular, and then you're going to use color grading, warm, cool, and some kind of custom effect, whatever you want, would be on toggle 0 if you want. I'm not going to make you do it though. All right, so notice that there isn't a optional effect because there's a lot to do here with the 3 people that you already have. Okay. Demo video is as normal, and the submission link is as normal. Again, the rubric is here in terms of where the marks go. Notice that color grading is worth 40% of your assignment number 2. So make sure you focus on color grading your GDW game. All right, so that is assignment number 2 requirement in a little nutshell. And I'm back to this. Are you guys good with the assignment requirements that I've given you? Assignment number 2, due next week on Sunday. Assignment number 1, due this week on Sunday. Checkpoint number 1, which we're going to work on today. Hopefully you guys have, while I'm talking, you guys have reformed your PowerPoints and ready to go. And join GDW Groups. I'm going to check that in a second when we stop recording here. And you've looked at the GDW requirements, which I posted as well. Okay, any questions before I stop recording this? Because all I'm going to do from a recording perspective today, at least for live, our synchronous recording, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I got no questions. I'm going to stop recording this on YouTube, and then I'm going to go now to the workshop that I talked about. I'm going to go through each of your groups, and I want to do a little demo. You guys are going to do it live in front of everybody, but we're going to go quick, and I want to just see what you're doing, and you're going to submit the exact same thing on Friday. Okay, so again, 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes per group. We're going to whip through these pretty much to get an idea of where you are and talk about your team. So the person who's presenting, don't go slow. I want you to go at a good pace. Talk to me about what you're doing so I understand who you are and what you're doing. And that's what we're going to be doing at this point now. Again, I'm going to stop recording now, and we'll get to that workshop piece right now. For those people watching on YouTube, see you next week. All right, so we're not